everyone, Ali here with another announcement. We are excited to announce our partnership with MAD20. MAD20's courses, assessments and agile certification program focus on skills training and real-world mastery, enabling certified defenders to immediately adopt and leverage the MITRE ATT&CK knowledge base in their work environment. Join our Discord for access to this exclusive discount. We are also honoured to announce that we are ambassadors for BITCON 2024. BITCON is the premier conference for Black IT professionals, entrepreneurs, and technology enthusiasts. The Blacks in Technology community will host their largest conference to date, with thousands of attendees anticipated the week of Labor Day 2024 in Atlanta, Georgia. If you're interested in attending, use our discount code BITCONSTATS for 10% off of general admission tickets. We hope to see you there.
All right, you ready? You ready to go?
Yeah, we're good. Let's do it.
All right, insert banter here. Derick, what's up? How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Awesome.
How's the weather where you're at? I'm curious.
It's nice. We're in Palm Beach, Florida. It's about 45 minutes north of Miami Beach, so hot, humid, nice, clear blue skies right now.
Right on, getting your sweat on. All right, Do you know what's about to happen before we dive into the podcast?
Yes, we're about to talk about some real topics, stories, empower others, and have some good camaraderie.
Hey, okay. Well, before we do that, we are going to play That's My Jam, 90s R&B edition. How deep is your 90s R&B bag?
It's about mid-level.
Okay, better than a lot of people we've had on the show. So you're amongst good company. All right, so here are the rules, and Tiffany, let me know if I'm missing anything. The rules are Anthony is going to play 4 songs. You have until the end of the song to name either the artist or the name of the song. If you can get both, it's a flex, it's dope. But the points are the same. Really don't matter. Outside of that, you get 3 guesses. So are you ready?
All right, let's do it.
All right, Anthony, song number 1.
Ain't nobody who can love me like you do. Ain't no reason that I'll ever be untrue. There's no need for me to try. I can't find the reason why. Ain't nobody who can really love me like you do. Ain't nobody who can love me like you do.
It's like it's there.
Ain't no reason that I'll ever be untrue. There's no need for me to try. I can't find the reason why. Ain't nobody who can really love me like you do.
You know this one, Anthony? Yeah, I don't actually look. I don't know it, to be honest. It's like I know it, but I don't know it.
Yeah, I know the words, but obviously the title is "Love Me Like You Do."
All right.
My first guess was Avanti or Avant. Avant.
Interesting.
You want to go for your second guess?
Yeah. Do I get to ask for a tip, male or female?
Actually, that's you can do that.
I've heard multiple people sing that song, so I was curious.
Okay, that's a good question. He can have a hint. Go ahead.
Was that the male or the female singing?
That was a female.
The original.
That
Okay.
was a female.
Okay.
Ooh, this is tense. Anthony just did the buzzer.
He's like, I know it's not Brandy. I'm thinking of that time period. The one that had a song with Brandy. I think it's her.
You can tell he's competitive.
I think I'm close. I'm like, I'm not giving up. Because Brandy and she have a song together, and I think that's her who sang the song. I don't know. I don't know, honestly.
Go ahead, Tim.
Faith Evans, Ain't Nobody.
Faith Evans. All right, Faith Evans. Got you.
I'm over here like, to be honest, there's probably more people who get 0 than get 1. So you're good so far.
Yeah.
You're off to a fine start. All right, song number 2.
Question, tell me what you think about me.
Oh, you got this one.
Buy my own diamonds and I buy my own rings. Only ring is silly when I'm feeling lonely. When it's all over, please get up and leave. question. Tell me how you feel about this. Try to control me or you get dismissed. Pay my own condo, then I pay my own bills. Always 50-50 in relationships. The shoes on my feet, I buy them. Clothes I'm wearing, I buy them. Rock I'm rocking, I buy it. I depend on me if I want it. Watch I'm wearing, I bought it. House I live in,
All right.
I bought it.
Beyonce,
I'm
young Destiny's Child.
Hey,
Destiny's Child.
all right. He got it.
All right.
That one's independent
Independent women.
independent.
This is actually really good because it's not the actual artist singing it. So it really makes you think. Was that you singing?
Nah, we don't sing. This is the legendary Guyana. She's just a local Tampa artist, actually.
Awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool,
All
cool.
right. So he got that one. We're on the board. Song number 3.
Right.
She's got class and style, street knowledge by the pound.
Oh, you got this
Baby
one.
never act wild, very low key on the
Blackstreet.
profile.
Hey! I'm over here like if Anthony know the song, I feel like the guest is gonna know the song. That's a good gauge.
Oh, God.
If Anthony
Oh, yeah.
starts singing. All right. We got one more left, and I think you got this one too.
Me and my people be rolling, scheming on you and your homies. The very first day of summer, all chromed out in a Hummer, babe. Hit the park and parlay, hoping that you walk this way. To you and your girls wanna ride, play all day, puff on the light. Say what, say what, you know that I like it, baby. Girl, you know what's up, and you know what I need. Ooh.
Music
Say
Soul
what, say
Child?
what, say what. You
Okay,
know
you got
that
2 more
I
guesses. You got 2 more. It's
Girl,
no.
you know what's up.
Actually, I probably would have guessed that too, to be honest.
Yeah, he's the first one that came to mind was Music Soul Child. At first, I was like Craig David, and I was like, that's not Craig David.
Those are actually solid guesses, though.
I don't know. I'm
Okay.
close.
Okay, it's do you know this one, Anthony?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay, so then I guess okay, this one's Donnell Jones. You know what's up.
Okay, Donnell Jones. All right.
Yeah. All right, he did good. He got 2 out of 4, right? That's better than most.
2 out of 4, 50%. All right, good.
We love it. We love it. We love it. Well, thank you. Thank you for being a good sport. All right, let's
No
go
problem.
ahead and get down to business. Get to the reason people are actually here. If it's your first time, welcome. If you already know the vibes, welcome back. I'm Jordan, aka Jay, aka the Chosen One, aka Big Stepper, and I am here with my co-host.
I'm Tiffany B. I'm excited you're here for this episode of the Stats on Stats podcast, where we get to talk to leaders in cyber IT technology space. And I guess today we're doing something a little different. So we're actually going to allow our guest to introduce himself, and we'll tell you why we've changed up a little bit for today.
Thanks for having me, Jordan and Tiffany. Pleasure being here. My name is Derick Johnson. I'm a U.S. Army veteran turned life coach. Essentially what I do, I help people break old patterns so they could thrive, not just survive. So if they feel stuck in a box in their personal life, relationship with food, past traumas, or if they just crush it in business, but they can't keep a relationship to save their life. We focus on the things that most people kind of push into the closet and they'll get around to. We pull it out, face it, and say, you know what, let's do the work so you can start to thrive and not just feel like you're barely making it. But that's what I do now. I have a true passion for it. So it's what I like to do. Help people get to the next level.
Awesome. You want to kind of do a bit more of an intro of why we wanted to bring him onto the show?
Yeah, actually, so for those of you who are new here, if you already know the vibes, something we normally talk about, we talk to IT, cybersecurity, technology leaders kind of about their journeys, how they get into tech, etc. One of the questions we like to ask our guests is, how do they stay grounded, right? How do they maintain their sense of balance in a career field that is so known for burnout? So we wanted to have Derick here because he's actually one of the hardest working people I know that I've seen, but he also manages to maintain a very healthy amount of balance. So I think it would be great to have a conversation with him. I thought it would be great to have a conversation with him about just how he does it and some tips, guidance, any kind of advice that he might have so that people in our field can keep it together, basically, all the way around. So that's why we are here. So Derick, if you don't mind, Tiffany has some really good questions for you about how you ended up in this field, right? Because you didn't originally plan to kind of start off as like, you know, an influencer or anything like that. So like, what drove you here? What got you here?
Great question. So honestly, being that kid who was insecure, I was never this person, this version of myself. I was that skinny kid. Number one, my father's African American, my mother's German. So as a child, I grew up in Germany, and when we moved to the United States to Pensacola, Florida, it was like a culture shock because I was getting bullied at school. People didn't know what I was, and then family members, they were drinking a lot, so there was a lot of trauma at home, a lot of violence, and so I didn't know who I was. I'm that new kid in Pensacola. I'm dealing with alcoholic parents. I'm getting bullied at school. Don't know who I am. I'm insecure. I have a stuttering issue. I'm skinny. I'm like, what is going on? So at the age of 12, I made a pact with myself. And I said, from this point on, nobody's going to have control over me anymore. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of feeling this way. So my step one into personal development was fitness. I knew I had to change my physical body to elevate my mentality to then be able to help lead other people. So my step one was changing the body. And then I fell in love with the aspect of pushing myself past pain thresholds. And then once I had that natural calmness and high, I started to work on my faith. So it started with fitness, then it turned into faith. And then I realized that I was just always calmer than usual. So the person I am now had to create. So because of the family traumas, bullying, and insecurities back then, I had to change that. And I truly fell in love with empowering other people. So my step one into the journey of helping others was personal development. But I knew that I wanted to do something deeper because I realized that it was very common for a lot of people to have bad relationships with themselves, a parent, food, alcohol, drugs, etc. But I knew that it was something about their past. So working with many people for fitness and performance, it inspired me to get deeper into life coaching, learning about psychology, mental patterns, why people get pulled in this direction, why they go back to resorting to that vice. And so just working with a lot of people and seeing the issues in my family and wanting to break generational curses, seeing how common it is in other people's families as well, where it's not talked about, I say, you know what, there's something here. I want to go deeper than just fitness and performance. So my life experiences working with others and just seeing the big picture, I realized there's a lot of people that are not feeling heard or understood. So I wanted to teach people how to feel that sense of confidence and power within themselves, no matter what happened in the past.
It's so interesting because I feel like, and I've said this probably for the last couple people we've had, but you're called to do this. You are just the way you deliver your message, your testimony. Like, man, you are called to do this. So again, like, I know this is kind of early to say, but thank you so much for being here with us. Like, we really appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me. I just like quality conversations. I hate fluff talk, so yeah, I get hype on these topics.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Also, I know that you were military, so for you, you have like not just the childhood traumas, but you have military service behind you. Could you talk to us about what you've done in your career up to this point?
Yes, for sure. So in the U.S. Army, I was 25 Quebec. That was my MOS, and essentially that's satellite communications. So outside of fitness, I'm a tech nerd. So relating to you all, we all love technology. And so my job was we could set up a satellite anywhere and give our team, our soldiers and everybody internet, radio, commo. And I just fell in love with doing that because out of thin air, you could be connected. And I got hype on that. And I was like, well, you could drop us anywhere. We can give you internet, radio, whatever you need. So that was my main job, 25 Quebec. As you all know, in the military, we have several other jobs that you can have, but my other one was master fitness trainer. So I would get male and female soldiers mission ready so they could get ready for deployment, ready for training schools, or if they came back from an injury, came back from deployment, had depression, had an issue with alcohol, or maybe they had an issue with their knee and they had surgery. Next thing you know, they're addicted to painkillers. So the real things that aren't discussed enough, I would work with those soldiers to get them mission ready again, whether that was mental or physical. So satellite communications, and then I was the guy next to the platoon yelling the cadence, pushing everybody, pushing you to go another mile. So that was me. That's what I did.
Oh, great. What was your training like for that master fitness? Is it something like you plan to do or?
Yes. So I always fell in love with fitness as a teenager, just seeing what the body and mind was capable of. And then in the Army, I realized that they had a training school for that, that you can become a master fitness trainer, meaning you lead people in regards to getting their best PT tests, or if they were on the way out of the military because they couldn't keep their standards, I would help them with remediation so they didn't get kicked out lose a scholarship or benefits. So I took that course and that helped a lot because it was different training than what I did on the civilian side. And so I was like, you know what? How can I use both of these to my advantage? My personal experience, the military experience, but help people in a deeper way than just, hey, we got a PT test, 2 mile run and 2 minute push-ups and sit-ups. I knew that I could go deeper than that.
So it clearly influences your approach to coaching, what you got from the military training.
Yeah, definitely. I think the number one takeaway from the Army was working with different cultures and ethnicities. And like we're all blessed to be military, so we're used to working with all different walks of life. And I think that's a cheat code that people don't talk about enough. We know how to manage and lead different people that people would normally be intimidated by, or they've never worked with a Muslim, they've never worked with this guy that's like overly aggressive and just all different personalities and walks of life. We know how to be the chameleon to speak to people differently. So I would say that that's the number one takeaway from the Army, working with different people. In the beginning, you probably hated that person, but at the end of training, you're like, you know what? We have each other's six. I didn't like them day one, but I know he or she has my back, no matter if we don't like each other. So that was a huge takeaway, working with different people and to elevate the morale in the room because it's really common in corporate, in companies, and in business to see like on paper people are doing well, but are they actually happy
Mm-hmm.
with who they work for or work with? So that's a huge thing. I want to make sure that I could elevate the morale. So that's a huge takeaway.
Okay. I think you're working with like companies and organizations. I've been looking at your LinkedIn page as well. So I'm like seeing some of the progress photos that you're showing from other people. Can you share a personal story or an experience that highlights why promoting personal health and wellness became such a crucial mission for you personally?
Yes, definitely. So both of my parents grew up very poor and they became successful, and they were the oldest of multiple siblings. So they had to mature really early, like 12 and 13. They were working, taking care of all their brothers and sisters, and their mothers were off working like 3 or 4 jobs. And so, because they had to grow up so quick and they never really got to work on their traumas and everything that they saw, I realized that outside of work, they were always drinking. They were like the partiers, life of the party, positive people. But once the crowd left, all hell broke loose and nobody knew about it. So I
Mm.
never like told anybody because I didn't want to bash their great reputation. And it never affected their career or anything. But I realized how common that was amongst a lot of high level people that they were either alcoholics or they were doing a lot of drugs. They were doing something to cope,
Mm.
even though on paper they're successful, even though from the outside of the house it was beautiful. But behind closed doors, we peel back the layers. Not every time, but it was very common that a lot of times people were dealing with vices. And so I realized that the mental frame of becoming successful, people might have seen that family member and say, you know what? I just have to do that thing to become successful because successful people are always drinking, are always doing
Mm.
drugs, are always having divorces because business comes first or whatever the case may be. So seeing these examples on extreme ends, I wanted to realize how can I help these people and show them that yes, you can be healthy. Yes, you can still enjoy yourself and not sabotage your results or sabotage your family dynamics. So honestly, just seeing the different perspectives of the good, the bad, the traumas, but knowing that the number one thing was people's mental and physical health they were lacking. And so I wanted to see how I can empower others because when you can have that positive impact in somebody's life, it's that positive ripple effect. Maybe their friends start wanting to work out. Oh, she's not drinking alcohol this month. Let me not drink for a month.
Mm.
Oh, she's eating this. Let me start doing that. And then their kids, their coworkers, their spouses start doing that. So that was always one of my favorite things to see the positive ripple effect of somebody that you didn't even come in contact with. You just inspired them, that inspires somebody else. And it's like,
So I'll even use myself as an example, right? I've become a workaholic. I always have this tendency of being like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna find balance, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna do these things, and then I tend to always land back in I'm just a workaholic. So how do you take your clients who are just very like, all I have time for is work, but I also know I need to find balance. Like, how do you help them kind of reframe that state of mind so that they can make that change and focus on their overall wellness?
yeah, great question. So the first thing that I do with everybody is we grab a sheet of paper and pen and we create a process of elimination sheet. So we have an elimination sheet. And what that is, we ask ourselves the question, what is something that I can get rid of that'll help me make more progress? What is something I could get rid of that'll help me make more progress? So this approach has always been more effective, opposed to being like, show me your schedule. We're going to add to your routine. Show me your pantry. Show me your fridge. Show me this. You're going to wake up at this time. And it's like, I'm not trying to add to their plate. I first want to see where they're at. What can we take away first? Because when you actually get rid of stuff first, you can breathe, think clear, and then you can start to take the baby steps. So, example one is food. Maybe this person, they eat too much sugar or too many carbs, too much processed thing. They're like, you know what? Less sugar, less of this. Okay. What about with what you drink? They have too many juices or they have too much caffeine. Like they have a couple Red Bulls, too many coffees, and they don't really need it. Yeah, let's cut down on that. Okay. What else? What they're eating, what they're drinking. And next thing you know, they're like intrusive thoughts, procrastination, anger. Why do I snap at my coworker so much? Or why does my sister bother? Like, and then they really start to peel back the layers and they start writing. And it started off as like, what can we get rid of? And they start with what they eat or drink. And then they really start to peel back the layers and say, this is the thing, intrusive thoughts and candy. And they start to get hype about it. Like, that's what it is. And like, you could just see the light bulb go off and they're like, if I got rid of that, I would feel so much better. Because every time I'm stressed, they reach for that thing or they're aggressive. So step one is always to see what could we get rid of or replace with something better that'll help you make more progress.
I like that. So do you ever find yourself kind of getting into mild debates with people who are future clients who are like, well, I can't think of anything?
Not really, because I usually meet them where they're at and then I go from there. And then like if I can tell that they're really closed off and really aggressive, I actually give them the same energy and I turn it into a challenge. So like one of my clients is from India and this was years ago and he's very closed off. He's, I don't know, Derek, I'm gonna do this and that. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try something different. And I was like, what the hell do you want to do? And I don't know. And I'm like, what can we get rid of? And I'm just like playing him. And he was like, man, he's like, I want to get rid of this. And I was like, let's get rid of that. And I was like, all right, so what's the challenge? No cigarettes this month? He's like, yeah, one a day instead of a one pack. And I was like, I think we made a decision. And he was like, what the hell just happened? But we're on the same page. So like sometimes the approach of somebody, you meet them where they're at. Because my normal approach, he was really standoffish. And I was like, this is not going to work. So let me just meet him where he's at, which was that aggressiveness, but that's just their culture, the males. They're just very, I don't know, it's not going to work for me. So I was like, let me meet him where he's at with that. Obviously, I'm not telling everybody to approach everyone like that, but that's a key memory that stood out. So meeting the person where they're at and then slowly building them up so they feel heard or understood. Because honestly, those are the two main things that people want. We want to be heard. We want to be understood. If they're not, then it's not going to be effective. They're not going to get long-term results.
So with that, thinking about business leaders and then how they want to be able to be present and listen to, the people that work with them or their employees, like what is a way that you feel like they could be more present and be able to give them that time they need to remove or reduce some of the stress in their lives?
Yeah, great question. So I think one of the best traits as leaders is knowing that you can ask your team better questions and knowing that everybody honestly wants to be heard, understood, and acknowledged. So an example, let's just say right now we're in June. There's a deadline for the team. Asking everybody on the team to say, what do you need from me? What can I do to make this better? What do you think the company needs that we can make this better? And just having a series of questions for those people, because there's always an expert in the room, and maybe nobody really speaks to him or her because they're just like the tech guy behind the scenes and they're just like, we only go to him if there's a problem, but they never ask him how he's doing. But if they approach that person and say, hey, you're great at what you do, I'm curious, what is something from your end that you see that we could do better? A better process, less stressful, more efficient workflow, using AI, whatever the case may be, and just asking them the question. That's one of the best things because then the person's like, oh, wow, they came to me for this. They feel significant. They feel heard and understood. And maybe we have an aha moment. We're like, I never thought about doing that way. You could do that in 30 minutes instead of 2 hours. Can you make a training video for that for everybody? Because that'll be amazing. And that person's like, dang, this helps everybody. But better quality questions. But step one is going to be for that leader to be able to push their pride and ego out of the way. And that's the hardest part. The questions are the easy part, but it's getting to the point where that leader can actually ask the questions. Because sometimes the person's like, oh, I'm the alpha in the room and I know everything. And they have that bravado, which is why they're unapproachable. So if that person has that issue, they can push their pride and ego away and say, you know what, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the one dropping the morale on the Monday morning meeting, the unnecessary meetings. So let me ask my team, what do you guys think that we need? And doing a round robin or one-on-one, but better quality questions.
I think that having such a large ego in a leadership position is it's such a conflict of
Yeah.
interest, right? Because like anytime, so like for instance, anytime I'm named a team lead at work or something, I'm always cool with it. I'm always fine with it because I'm just like, okay. So essentially, to me, what a leader is somebody who I rely on my team for the best ideas to come up with the best way to approach different situations. And then when gets up, I'm the one that's in trouble. Like that's how I think leadership is, right? If you want the best out
Yeah.
of it, you talk to your team, you get their insight, you guys thrive. And then when gets up, you're the one that's accountable. Excuse my Italian. Please beep all that out, Anthony. I apologize. But I think that
Hey.
that's something, in my opinion, the military does a really good job, right? For the people who are willing to absorb it, right? I think the military does a really, really good job of teaching us what good leadership should essentially look like. So yeah, I definitely, when you were just sharing that right now, I was like, it's definitely giving military someone who saw the wrong way and absorbed the right way. So I had to
Oh
speak on
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I love that as well. And to bounce off what you said, people also that weren't military take into account who's a leader that you don't want to be like. Who's the leader of how you don't want to make your team feel, and take that into account because you're like, okay, I can sense stress and anxiety is high. The deadlines, the quotas are coming up. Let me make sure not to act like so and so because I knew the repercussions of how the team feels. And sometimes you're like, as long as I don't do this, my team's going to be empowered because they might not have all the answers. And usually that's the case. But as long as you can keep that morale high, then that right there is the game changer.
And not to deviate too much, but I will say one of the biggest things I say is like, I constantly tell my team this. When something goes wrong, it's my fault. So if you have a good idea, don't be afraid to share it. We'll implement it. I'll take the blame. And the reason I'm like that is because I had a really specific core memory of being an E4 and an E7 tried to put the blame of something major on me in front of the entire office. He's like, oh, it was your fault. And I'm like, what? What? And ever since then, I've been like, if I am the team lead, like if something goes wrong, it is my fault. I will take the blame. But yeah, not to get too off track, but yes, you know exactly who you don't want to be.
Yeah, there you go.
So how do you help clients to recognize signs of stress or burnout before it becomes a serious issue in their lives?
Great question. So we really look at their schedule in regards to when do they wake up, how's their night routine, what do they do between their tasks, between their meetings, and I just really just have them open up and walk me through a normal day. Like, hey, what time do you get up? Do you eat breakfast? Do you fast until midday? Do you drink coffee, pre-workout? Do you not drink enough water? And I just learn about their particular day, a normal day of work, and then we really see, okay, what can we tweak? So we're not trying to flip their whole schedule, but what can we tweak? Like, hey, you mentioned that around between 3 and 5, you get really stressed at work with doing this. What if you flipped it and did that in the morning instead of then, if they're able to, and just change the approach and try to take advantage of the time of day of when they're most creative. So some creatives, they flow at night, some early morning, some all day long. They can be creative whenever. And sometimes people hold that project until the afternoon and mentally they're done. And then they have stress and they keep procrastinating. So it's like, all right, what if we take advantage of that and do 1 hour every morning instead of waiting? So most important is just to extract data from them. I need to learn where they're at and then really see that individual because it's more personalized. It's not I don't come from like a one size fits all thing. It's more so let me learn about you. And that's why people make that weekly progress rather than, nope, here's a blueprint. You got to follow it, stick it to the T. Like the army says, we don't pay you to think, follow this. That's not going to work long term.
So, as somebody who is working with all of these different people, right? Because I would say like all these people are probably very just like high functioning go getters for the most part, right? So, for you, what is like the biggest benefit that you're seeing once you are inserted and you're starting to like get in there? Like for you, from your perspective, what is the biggest benefit that you see in terms of changes within your client in a positive way?
I definitely see that they're more present with their loved ones because they get tasks done faster, more efficient, they're less stressed. And when they get home, they're present. Because usually when they get home, they're thinking about the deadline, what they should have said in the meeting, what they should have raised their hand in class or whatever it is, because they're always thinking about should have could this and what if that yesterday. They're never present. They're feature fabricating what if scenarios, or annoyed or stressed or angry at themselves because of the past. So they're never really here right now. So presence is one of the biggest things that I notice, because now we're all distracted. Wi-Fi, notifications, people, politics, everybody needs our attention. So helping them to get those things done faster, feeling less stressed, and most importantly, for them to be present in whatever they're doing. Like a big thing is I go to the basics. I ask them, I say, when was the last time you touched grass? And I'm like, I don't mean that in a hippie way. I'm not telling you to hug a tree every morning, but it's like, when was the last time you were barefoot in your yard, at the beach, in the dirt? When was the last time you went for a walk in the rain? Last time you went outside and sat and just followed a bird for 2 minutes? Whoa, where's it going? I never noticed that nice tree. That's a nice tree over there. And just actually immersing yourself in your environment. And it sounds funny and basic and straightforward, but everybody's go, go, go. Got to go to the meeting. I got to go to this. Got traffic, Wi-Fi slow, family, bills, next, this, and this. Let's take a breather. Let's sit outside, lay the phone down, and really immerse yourself in nature. So presence is definitely the biggest thing.
Yeah, and that's not a small thing. Just being able to say that you're noticing that folks are more present. I can say, especially really like right now, I'm a workaholic era, right? Like that's where I am this season, and so I even notice going from day to day to day. I'm like, I can't say that I was present any moment, right? Like tasks got done. I know things happen, but in no moment can I actually recall being like, I remember looking outside, or I remember this really specific conversation with somebody. So like that's not a small thing at all. So I almost want to insert you into like every tech company everywhere. That's a gift. Seriously.
What are some of the most common physical and mental issues you found with your clients?
So one of the mental ones is the what if fabricated scenarios. So I call it like the what if sandwich stacking. So they're creating a mental sandwich of just stuff they don't want to happen, which isn't even real. Well, what if he says this? And what if she says that? And what if this? And if I do that, then and they start compounding, and within 5 minutes, their whole mental state is different. Their body language is different. And so asking them like, where did that start? And what are the most common what if scenarios? Because usually you can pinpoint it. And what it is they don't have control of some area of their life. It might be financial, it might be physical, it might be relational, it might be faith or spiritual. And so a lot of the what if scenarios relate to their fear or whatever they're lacking. And so what we do, we write down what are your most common what if scenarios? And then we reverse engineer and we figure out at the source why they have that. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, here's why you got these problems. It's more so, hey, so based on this, you keep mentioning that. Have you noticed that? So the question, have you noticed, even in friendships or relationships or coworkers, is one of the most powerful questions, because they don't feel like you're doing the knife hand. Like, Jordan, short, you've been doing this and doing that. It's like, hey, have you noticed that when you show up to a formation with this, your energy is different? Have you noticed on Saturdays it's like this? And you're like, huh. So the attention isn't really fully on them. It's more so on the scenario. And they're like, hey, I have noticed that. Like, hey, how do you think we can make that better? And usually they have the correct answer. Instead of coming with the approach, hey, you used to do this and you do that, why don't you do this? And they're like, all right, coach, whatever. So just the approach of that, and the what if is very common, because a lot of the times it's fear-based. What if I never find that one? What if I'm successful in the nice home, but I can't get a marriage? I can't find that spouse. What if XYZ? So definitely the what if I've noticed with high performers, because I have a fear of what might happen. And it usually is their upbringing. Maybe their father was very successful, but he was never present. Maybe their mother was very successful, but she wasn't fulfilled. So something from their past has that what if fear, and they don't want to end up like that to continue the pattern.
That's so crazy you mentioned that. One of the things I learned about myself in terms of what ifs is I tended to just not talk about my feelings, right? When it comes to relationships and stuff. I would always feel like the other person's feelings a lot of times mattered, and I could, I'm like, I'll be okay eventually, and I ended up realizing that it was like you said, it was from something in my past where I think back and I'm like, where did this start? It started from always feeling like, oh, well, I want to tell an adult this, and they're like, well, we're talking, don't like, I don't need to know all that extra stuff, or don't, So it's just very interesting to hear you say that that's still, is something that you're seeing in your role doing what you do, where you see business people who are just like, they reach back to those what ifs, or they're still kind of like dealing with some of those issues of like, I can't do this thing, but it's all tied back to their past.
Yeah, 100%. And like that's my favorite thing to notice is the pattern because once you give somebody clarity, they feel control and power again. So anytime you work with somebody, you just see that look and they're like, and in turn, like, hey, it clicked, it clicked. And you don't even say anything. You just let them sit in it. And days later, they're like, hey, I woke up and I didn't feel this. Or yet in yesterday's meeting, I did that. And you're just waiting to get that text or that email. And you're just like, yes. Because you don't want to be like, hey, something happened right there. What happened there? You just let them have their moment. But it's amazing to see. So as leaders, if you can give your individuals or team clarity, their power goes up, their confidence goes up, and then they feel like they have control. Because in that regard, they figured it out. You just guided them. And this approach I've noticed is way more effective. So, like, side note, I have nothing against therapy. Therapy does work. But what I've noticed is that a lot of the times for high achievers, they don't have time to go there every Tuesday to put themselves into a dark place talking about what happened when they were 12. And then they have a sales meeting at 5 p.m. on Zoom with the international company, and they have their morning therapy session talking about a dark past again. It's like, yes, we need to express ourselves. Yes, we need to talk about it. But at what point do we get past the struggle? Do we get past the I'm healing? Because nowadays it's very common. I've noticed that people make healing their identity and their personality. I'm in my healing phase. I'm in my healing phase. And they say it so much that they almost get stuck in that zone and they never penetrate past that ceiling of healing. So they talk about it so much and then they never really think next level because it almost becomes who they are. And so like I verbalize that to some people that I work with sometimes and I say, have you noticed that you tend to say these phrases a lot and they're like, huh, I never noticed that. And then they start to catch themselves say whatever phrase it is and they're like, wow, I say that in my texts verbally. And like, I never realized how much this statement or thought controls me. And then I ask the question, I'm like, well, are you ready to get past that? And they're like, yes. And then we start doing the work to really get progress opposed to just talking about the past all the time. And again, I have nothing against therapy. It does work, but I've noticed nowadays in this culture that healing is such a common word that has become people's identity and personality where they never really get past it. So I just challenge people with the question is, at what point do you actually heal? At what point do you give back and you tell your story? And then they're like, yeah. I'm like, you're here for that. You're not here just to heal. You're here to say, hey, here's my story. Here's who I am. She is proof. He's proof of what's possible. And they're just like, oh yeah, this is part of my comeback story. So the whole dynamic flipped. And we're like, you can heal, but let's get past that.
All right. Well, let's stay in that space. I'm like, I've heard so much great stuff from you, Derick, and I'm sure our listeners are going to hear this, and I feel like want more. So, if someone in our field came to you and said, "Okay, Derick, what are 4 or 5 good tips that you could give me right now to get me started?" Where would you lead them to?
Great question. So the first thing I would challenge them to do is to grab that sheet of paper and start that process of elimination and ask themselves, what is something that I could get rid of that could help me make more progress? Starting with that is one of the most effective things because everything goes to them having clarity. Because if they verbalize it and they write it down, it's sugar, it's procrastination, it's hitting the snooze button 5 times every morning, causing my own stress and anxiety. Like it's really straightforward for most people. It's those small, subtle things. And they're like, nah, it's my trauma. It's like, it might be, or is it your alarm clock? Because every morning you're sleeping for 20 more minutes and then their circadian rhythm is messed up. But usually it's the small things. So step one would be to write out the elimination and really get clarity. Because the faster they can get clarity, the faster they're like, huh, that is what it is, opposed to like going too high level and too deep in the beginning. So that'd be number one. Number two, I challenge people to wake up at the exact same time every day, on the weekends included. And I'm not saying hustle 24/7, team no sleep and all that. I'm just saying if and when they wake up at the exact same time for the entire month, they start to realize how much control they have of their time, of their energy, and of their mood. Because most times people wake up within like a 2-hour window, 7 a.m., Next day is 7:30, then it's 7:20. They hit snooze 3 times, and they're kind of like chasing their momentum and chasing getting back to that level because they're never really operating at that same level. So step one, what can I get rid of? Step two, let me wake up at the same time. And I'm not telling people what time to wake up, but they just be consistent. Three is only do 2 things in your morning routine. Only two. One for the body, one for the mind. So if you have a dog, walk your dog for 15 minutes. For the mind, it could be meditation, prayer, journaling, shadow work, whatever they want to do, meditation. But if they move the body first and then do something for the mind, they're way more proactive and calm and confident throughout the day. And so, what can I get rid of? I'm waking up at the same time. And then I'm only choosing 2 things because nowadays people feel like they're not doing enough because their buddy's taking an ice bath, sitting in the sauna, taking supplements, watching a Joe Rogan interview, and it's not even 8 a.m. and he's done like 20 things. And you're just like, am I not doing enough? It's like, nah, just move the body and open the mind and get proactive. Like, because nowadays I notice that it's very common for people to have like a dopamine hit addiction of motivation. They read the quotes, they watch the David Goggins video, but they've been out of shape for years. And it's like, how much content is that person going to consume before they actually take action? So like they're just absorbing, dopamine, dopamine. I call it motivational porn. It feels good. It gets you hype, but they're still in the same place every month. It's like, how many David Goggins videos are you going to watch until they get up? So I just like to be straightforward. So that's the first one, eliminate. Second, wake up at the same time. Third, just keep a simple morning routine of moving the body. And then second is for the mind. And then after that is looking at downtime. What are you doing in your downtime? Usually our devices control us. So let's just say she sent 10 emails. What did she do in that little break? Did she go outside? Did she intentionally scroll? Because there's nothing wrong with scrolling as long as you're intentional. So like one of my favorite things when I've talked to a ton of people throughout the day, I'll go on YouTube and watch 10 minutes of prank videos just to watch some dumb shit, just to laugh. And it helps me to tap out. Then I get back on a call and then I'm back into a deep topic. But I laugh for 10 minutes and I intentionally chose to do that. Or I intentionally send my friends memes and funny videos, but I intentionally said, I need a laugh and look at something and then I'll tap back into it. So the last one would be to be intentional about what you do before you grab the device. You're like, all right, I got a break. What am I about to do? I'm gonna grab that device and check on my friend and my girlfriend. Okay, let me go do that. And then you lay it back down. And it's really hard at first because we're all addicted, myself included. We all have a loop. So the last thing with the tech is, can you figure out your loop? When you're stressed, what is the first app that you go to? For some, it's Instagram. For some, it's their Amazon cart. For some, it's the news and media. Everybody has a digital loop. They go from here to that, to that, to that, to that. And they're like, oh shit, it's been 30 minutes. What am I doing? Or how did I get to this page?
Wow.
So that's a common pattern that I don't hear people talk about. Everyone has a loop, myself included. Like my step one is always Instagram. That's my favorite app. For others, it's TikTok. For some, they're like, I need to open every message because I hate seeing an unread message in my inbox. I need to open each one.
Get out of my phone.
So yeah, so like honestly, it's just the very straightforward things that give you a lot of clarity. Everything is just clarity because when you can know your digital pattern, when you know that, dang, I do wake up at a different time every morning, even if it's like 3 to 10 minute window, where I do notice I do way too much in the morning. It's just giving you control again. So you're like, I'm the one in control, no outside sources.
Love it.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I'm over here like, man, I feel like we have to pay him now. Wow. To be honest, I mean, I know we do a lot of this for our listeners, but I mean, I'm about to take a lot of these tips from you. So thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
no problem, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing is when somebody tries any of these things and they're like, huh, woke up at the same time 10 days. Huh, I cut the sugar. Or wow, I noticed my loop. I'm getting bored. Let me just go on whatever app. So just make that conscious decision to say, I'm opening up my phone to do X, Y, Z, and I'm gonna put it away. It's hard at first because we've all been there. And we've all had our pocket vibrate and our phone's not even in the pocket. Like that shows us how we're
That's
like, what the hell is happening? My phone's on the table. Like,
Gosh. So I only have one more question and then I think Tiffany will wrap up. But if you don't know the answer, it's okay. It's kind of I just want to know. But how did you become so introspective? Like what got you to a point where you were willing to be this honest with yourself so that you could move forward and make the work or do the work and make progress?
It was honestly just seeing a lot of stuff by the age of 15. So my mother's alcoholic, father's alcoholic. On paper, they're successful. Like, I'll just be blunt. My mother's died in my arms 5 times. She's still alive. I don't know how she's still here. I've seen my friends overdose. I've seen a lot of violence around me. So because of the stuff happening around me, it lit a fire in me to say life is short. It could be gone in an instant. I need to do the work because people need this stuff. So it was honestly the pain that drove me to become this version. And so being that kid who was thinking that he's going to get beat up or slapped or whatever, you were at all these parties with your parents and you were the quiet kid in the corner observing the room. And I challenge people to say, whatever you went through, your trauma gave you a gift. Your trauma and pain gave you a gift. There's a gift in your pain. It might be discernment. So for me, it was discernment. That was my blessing. Being able to read a room, being able to read people. And I said, I can do something with this. Narcissists take that and go this way. I don't do that. I'm going to use this to empower people and go that way. So I challenge people to say, from your darkest moments in the past, or if you're currently in that, what gift did you get from it? Because there is a gift. Once you can find it, you can realize how you can use it for others, even if it's not your career. So it was more so seeing a lot of stuff. I was just always reading people. I'm like, why are people this way? Like, why is that side of my family successful? And why is this side always struggling? Why is this? Or why, when he gets off the phone with that guy, why does he start drinking? Why? I was always that kid to ask why. And I was told to shut up. So I started learning myself. So I relate to Tiffany, like, oh, now, right now, not your feelings. Oh, we got this grown folk talk and blah, blah. And it's like we got to figure this stuff out. So yeah, so honestly, just realizing that life is short and realizing that if I don't figure myself out, then I'm going to not serve others and I'm going to continue generational curses. And I didn't want to do that.
What do you do in your free time to relax?
Great question. Honestly, play with my pit bull, dance with my girlfriend, spend a lot of time in nature. And one of our favorite things to do is visualize. Like, we'll just drive in the biggest, best neighborhoods and just visualize. And then like I just get so many ideas and visions. And I played this piano song that I was listening to. So when we're driving on the road in Palm Beach, where all the mansions and estates are, I got the windows open, the sun is shining, and this piano song is playing. I'll just get chills and just stuff comes to me. I don't have those things yet. We don't have an estate, but just I just get so much clarity. Then I get home and I'm like, boom, I know what steps to take. So time in nature, time with my pit bull, time with my girlfriend, and then immersing myself around things that I want to experience because I'm like, that's possible. And then I just get a rush.
You're one of the few people I feel like you should just charge people to be around you. Oh, you trying to kick it? Well, my hourly fee is this much. Because like for real, you have an energy that is uplifting and it makes me want to go do stuff. Like I'm over here just like after this, I'm not tired anymore. Like I'm good. We good now. So yeah, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a gift for sure. So again, thank you.
These kind of conversations I just love because I hate fluff talk. Like I don't care about Kobe versus LeBron. I don't care about Hollywood. I don't care about other stuff. It's like I don't give a damn. It's like, tell me what made Jordan Jordan? What made Tiffany Tiffany? What do you love most about what you do? Like just real topics. I just love this stuff. So it gives me life as well.
Awesome. Well, I think I'm going to try my best to end it. But for you, Derick, what's next for you?
I'm planning a retreat. It's going to be 3-day retreats. I see it happening every quarter. Men and women meet at the bottom of a mountain. We hike to the top. At the top of the mountain, we probably have to help somebody to get to the top. But at the top, we do a lot of natural trauma release. No ayahuasca or psychedelics needed. We do a lot of breath work. So imagine 50 to 100 people hiking up a mountain, complete strangers. You might know a couple. Once you get to the top, we do some breath work. We're releasing, yelling, crying, doing whatever we got to do. On the way down, you start opening up to these people because you just release so much stuff. You had a workout, the mind is open, the body's flowing. On the way down, you're just talking to everybody. Then we get back to the hotel and then we do some breakthrough sessions on these kind of topics. Day 2, I have some other friends that are experts in different things. So if somebody needs help with credit, somebody needs help with investments, whatever, we have different tables set up at this hotel. And most importantly, it's not a pitch fest. Nobody's pitching their services. They pay to come to the 3-day retreat to get better and have action steps. Day 3, we basically have a cookout, have fun, do all that. break bread, and then we exchange information, and powerful things will happen. They met their potential realtor, they met their potential partner, business partner, whatever the case may be. And we do these every quarter. And every time that we meet again in the quarter, everybody's at a new level. He's now married. She's down 50 pounds. They just started that S Corp LLC and like just leveling up together. So that's a huge thing that I see, bringing the military approach of it with the business. Because a lot of people that never served or never played sports, they've never really immersed themselves in real camaraderie, like embrace the suck. So our suck will be getting to the top of this mountain. And then that might be the first time anybody's done that. And they have a stranger guiding them and pushing them, getting them hyped up, pouring some Gatorade in their mouth. Like those situations where like they feel that they can't go anymore. And then we release at the top, come back down. And then by the end of the weekend, they're gonna fly or drive home to say, what the hell happened these 3 days? Like I just worked on my inner self. I have tools, I have action steps. I met some powerful people. And everybody they meet are just people that want to get to the next level in life. So that's a huge thing that I see is quarterly retreats like that. And again, not a pitch fest. We've all paid for a ticket to an event to learn a thing, and you can't learn the thing until you join their gold club. It's not gonna be anything like that. It's just you pay, but you're gonna get proven action steps.
Awesome. How do we get tapped into that?
Yeah, so once I release the information, that'll be on social media. And then my other biggest goal for this year is to release my first book. That'll be this fall. And so it's funny, last year I was doing a podcast with a guy, and mid-conversation, he and I were like mission ready. And we're just in flow state, mid-conversation. It wasn't even the topic. And he was like, I'm feeling mission ready. And I was like, yeah, mission ready. Preparing for the battlefield of life, preparing your body and mind for the battlefield of life. And we're just in total flow state. And I was like, that's it. Mission ready. Preparing your body and mind for the battlefield of life. So that's the title of the book. But that'll be coming out this fall. I'm still finalizing it.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Is it just you? Are you co-authoring with anybody?
No, it's just me. I'm doing a self-publishing.
Okay.
I just want to do ownership. So if you guys listen to Russ, the artist Russ, I've always been inspired by Russ and how he talks about ownership. And I really like the approach of his self-help books. And same thing with like David Goggins. And I always respected people that they stayed independent. And there's nothing wrong with book publishing or record deals and all that. But the people that stay independent, they usually have more of their pure authenticity still. Like they don't quote unquote change it up or get corporate or whatever. So I'm approaching it like that. And also, if I'm going to put my heart into a book, I don't want XYZ company to tell me what I can and can't do with it because it's my life story. So I'd rather self-publish and go from there.
Oh, real quick, before we forget, do you want to let people know what your socials are?
Yeah, for sure. You guys can find me at Fit with Derick 2, the number 2. Same profile picture and everything. My whole intent is just to plant seeds. If you've been lazy, you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see, I'm going to call you out my content, but it's actually calling you up. I don't call you out, I call you up. I'll be the random dude in your pocket that's making you want to go harder. Life is short. Let's make it amazing.
I love that.
Yep.
That's a strong way to close.
All right. Awesome. We thank you for being a part of the Stats on Stats podcast for today. We thank you, Derick, for coming in and sharing your experiences and also sharing like the advice that you've given to us. And for everybody else, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.